Welcome to The Silent Self, Understanding the Consequences of Ignoring Intuition by Mindful Literary. Imagine a life where you truly listen to the quiet voice within, where every decision is aligned with your deepest truth. Too often, we drown out that voice, our intuition, with fear, doubt, and outside noise, leaving us disconnected from our true path. But what if tuning into that inner wisdom could change everything? This audiobook is your guide to reconnecting with that powerful inner compass, uncovering the science behind intuition, and learning from real life stories of transformation. Ready to awaken the voice you've been silencing? Let's begin the journey toward reclaiming your intuitive power. Chapter 1. The Inner Voice. What is intuition? Defining intuition, a deeper look. Intuition is often described as a gut feeling or a flash of insight that appears without the need for conscious reasoning. It is an intrinsic part of our cognitive toolkit, guiding us through the complex landscape of decision making. In my own experiences, I have found that intuition often whispers to us in moments of uncertainty, suggesting a path that may be obscured by logic or emotion. This inner voice can feel like a warm light in a foggy forest, illuminating options that can sometimes escape our rational analysis. Understanding intuition's fundamental nature allows us to better harness its power. It serves as a bridge between what we know and what we feel, often leading to decisions that align with our true selves, even when the reasons behind them remain shrouded in mystery. Distinguishing intuition from instinct and reasoning is crucial to appreciating its unique characteristics. Instinct is usually driven by biological urges or survival instincts, often presenting a more primal response to immediate threats or challenges. On the other hand, reasoning is grounded in analytical thinking and logic, requiring a series of steps to arrive at a conclusion. In my journey, I have encountered numerous scenarios where data and statistics appear compelling, yet an underlying intuition tells me to consider a different angle. For instance, in a business meeting, I may have all the figures pointing to one direction, yet my intuition nudges me to explore an innovative idea that isn't backed by cold hard numbers. This shows that intuition has its own language, a subtle interplay of experiences, emotions, and knowledge that develops over time. What fascinates me most about intuition is how it can be nurtured and developed over time. By remaining attuned to our inner feelings and experiences, we cultivate a more profound connection to our intuitive sense. Practical tips for enhancing intuition include mindfulness practices such as meditation, journaling to capture fleeting thoughts and feelings, and simply allowing ourselves moments of silence to reflect. Listening to those initial instincts can be incredibly rewarding, leading to more authentic and satisfying decisions. When we trust our intuition, we open ourselves to a wealth of insight that can guide our choices, leading to a life that feels more aligned with who we are. The science behind intuition. Understanding the psychological and neurological foundations that support intuitive thinking opens up a fascinating perspective on how we make decisions. Intuition often feels like a spontaneous burst of insight, a gut feeling guiding us toward a particular choice without our conscious reasoning. This phenomenon is deeply rooted in our brain's functioning. When we encounter a situation, our brains scan past experiences and patterns, quickly assembling a response without us being fully aware of this mental processing. Neuroscience reveals that the brain's right hemisphere is particularly involved in intuitive thinking, where emotions and contextual clues are synthesized, creating what we perceive as instinct. Additionally, the amygdala, which processes emotions, plays a crucial role in this rapid decision-making process. This connection between emotion and cognition shapes our behaviors and choices in profound ways. Examining studies that illustrate the effectiveness of intuition in various scenarios provides further insight into its invaluable role. One notable example comes from the world of expert decision-makers, such as firefighters and emergency room doctors. Research has shown that these professionals often rely on their intuition to make critical decisions quickly in high-stakes situations. In one study, seasoned firefighters were observed making rapid decisions during simulated crises. Their intuitive responses, derived from years of training and experience, often proved more effective than those based on slow, analytical thinking. Another compelling study involved selecting stocks. Research indicated that individuals who relied on their intuition in financial markets often outperformed those who strictly followed analytical models. These real life examples illustrate that intuition isn't a whimsical impulse. Rather, it can be a powerful tool that combines our accumulated knowledge with instinctive feelings. When reflecting on the power of intuition, I find it helpful to remember that it is a skill shaped by both experience and awareness. Recognizing patterns through past experiences allows our minds to shortcut the lengthy deliberation process. One expert tip is to keep a reflective journal where you can document your intuitive insights along with the outcomes you experienced. Over time, this practice can help you identify the clues and feelings that tend to lead you to sound decisions, enhancing your intuitive muscle. Being mindful of your emotions and the subtle cues around you allows you to sharpen your intuition, transforming it into a reliable compass for life's complex decisions. Personal anecdotes. My first encounter with intuition. It was a chilly autumn afternoon when I first encountered my intuition in a moment that would forever change how I perceived my instincts. I was at a bustling coffee shop, working on a project that was essential for my career. As I sat there, surrounded by the comforting aroma of coffee and the mellow hum of conversation, I felt an unusual tug in my gut. It wasn't the typical pressure of deadlines or stress. It was something different, something deeper. I glanced up from my laptop and noticed a man sitting alone at a corner table. He seemed lost in thought, yet I felt an inexplicable pull to talk to him. Ignoring the sirens of caution echoing in my mind, I approached him. After that moment, a fascinating conversation unfolded, and I learned that he had insights that could significantly benefit my project. That spontaneous decision to follow my intuition not only enriched my work, but also opened a door to new possibilities that I had never thought possible. Reflecting on that experience, I learned the powerful lesson that our intuition often speaks to us in whispers, requiring us to stop, listen, and be brave enough to act. I realized that intuition doesn't always align with logic and can often guide us in unexpected directions. This encounter reinforced the idea that we must cultivate a relationship with our intuitive selves, as they often offer us insights that are beyond our rational thinking. For the longest time, I had dismissed my gut feelings as mere impulses. After that day, I began to trust myself more. My intuition became a valuable compass in navigating both personal and professional challenges, helping me make decisions that felt aligned with who I was and what I wanted. As I share this story, I encourage you to reflect on your own intuitive experiences and consider how often you dismiss those nudges. By honoring your intuition, you may uncover pathways that lead to your greatest potential. Trusting your intuition is not just about acting on every whim, but rather developing a mindfulness to recognize when those subtle clues emerge. Practice tuning into yourself by taking quiet moments throughout your day to check in, ask yourself questions, and listen to the responses your body provides. This creates a deeper understanding of your inherent wisdom and could lead you to surprisingly meaningful encounters and opportunities in your life. Chapter 2: The Dangers of Suppression. Understanding the dissonance, mind versus intuition. Cognitive dissonance is a term that often sparks conversation, yet its implications in our daily lives can be profound and perplexing. At its core, cognitive dissonance refers to the mental discomfort that arises when we hold conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. This happens frequently when our logical reasoning clashes with our intuitive feelings. For instance, I have frequently found myself facing decisions that seem perfectly logical at first glance, only to feel an unsettling unease deep down in my gut. It's as if my mind is presenting the facts while my intuition is whispering something entirely different. This conflict creates a tension that is hard to ignore, leaving me second-guessing my choices and questioning the validity of my reasoning. The struggle between the rational voice in our heads and the emotional cues from our hearts is a common experience, reflecting the complexity of human decision-making. One particularly effective strategy to manage this dissonance is to cultivate an ongoing dialogue between your logical reasoning and your intuitive feelings. When faced with a decision, take a moment to reflect not just on the facts, but how you feel about them. Ask yourself what your inner voice is telling you, and don't dismiss those feelings as mere whims. Keeping a journal can also be beneficial, where you can free write your thoughts and feelings around a decision. This practice allows you to untangle the knots of conflict between your mind and intuition, providing clarity on which path may lead to a more fulfilling outcome. Trusting our intuition does not mean abandoning logic. Rather, it's about recognizing that both parts of us have valuable insights. Engaging with this inner dialogue can transform the way we approach decisions, enabling us to align our choices with our true selves. Consequences of ignoring our inner voice. Neglecting our intuition can leave long lasting imprints on our emotional and mental well being. I remember a time when I chose to dismiss that subtle whisper inside me, telling me a particular job wasn't right for me. I listened instead to the voices of others and the allure of a steady paycheck. Over time, I found myself feeling overwhelmed and unhappy, as if I were trapped in a life that didn't reflect who I truly was. The stress accumulated, quietly seeping into my day-to-day interactions, leading to feelings of anxiety and discontent. It wasn't just about job satisfaction, it permeated all areas of my life, affecting relationships and diminishing my overall happiness. Scientific studies support this. Research shows that ignoring our intuition, often described as our gut feeling, can result in mental fatigue and a decrease in emotional intelligence. It can leave us in a chronic state of unease as we constantly wrestle with decisions that don't resonate with our true selves. Life is filled with pivotal moments, and how we heed or ignore intuitive guidance can shape our paths significantly. One vivid example from my life involved a relationship that I fell into more out of convenience than genuine connection. Deep down, I sensed that something was amiss. A voice inside urged me to pay attention to my misgivings. Ignoring that inner voice led me to invest years into a partnership that ultimately didn't align with my values. The consequences were life-altering. I lost precious time, felt disconnected from my authentic self, and even strayed from friendships that had once brought me joy. Listening to those intuitive nudges can sometimes guide us to make decisions that resonate with our true desires, leading to more fulfilling experiences. In some cases, choices may seem small at the moment, deciding on a location to live, taking a particular job, or even choosing friends, but these choices accumulate, influencing our larger life trajectory. Actively tuning into and honoring our intuition is essential for making choices that align with who we are. One practical tip is to cultivate self-awareness through mindfulness practices, such as journaling or meditation. These practices can help quiet the noise of external opinions, allowing the whispers of our inner voice to become more pronounced. By setting aside time to reflect on our feelings and thoughts, we can begin to decode the subtle messages that our intuition sends us. As we grow more attuned to these insights, we can enhance our ability to make decisions that lead to a more authentic and fulfilling life. Real-life examples of ignoring intuition. Compelling stories often illustrate the profound consequences of ignoring our intuition. Take the case of a talented surgeon who had a gut feeling during a routine operation that something was off with the patient's vitals. Despite a long career filled with successes and accolades, he brushed aside this nagging feeling, attributing it to anxiety rather than instinct. Moments later, the patient's condition took a dramatic turn for the worse, leading to a near-fatal outcome. This situation not only haunted the surgeon personally, but also radically shifted the dynamics in the operating room. The team members began to question his judgment, and trust was strained. This incident serves as a vivid reminder that even highly skilled professionals can falter when they overlook the little voice within them, and it underscores the potential ripple effects of such decisions. Another illustrative story involves a young entrepreneur who had a strong instinct about a particular market trend. Friends and mentors urged him to pursue a different business path, emphasizing what seemed like safer options based on data-driven analysis. He initially set his instincts aside and followed their advice, only to find himself deeply unhappy and unfulfilled by the outcome. Months later, feeling disoriented and frustrated, he returned to his original idea, which had begun to gain traction without his involvement. His journey reveals the critical lesson that our intuition often carries valuable insights drawn from our experiences and awareness, insights that external opinions may not fully grasp. These stories collectively highlight a central truth. The importance of listening to our inner voice cannot be overstated. Ignoring intuitive feelings can lead to significant repercussions, both personally and professionally. By tuning into our instincts, we cultivate awareness of subtle cues that help guide our decisions. This chapter invites reflection on past decisions, encouraging us to ask, when have I followed my gut, and where did it lead me? By embracing and acting on our intuition, we equip ourselves to navigate life's complexities with greater confidence and clarity. Trusting ourselves is an actionable takeaway, reminding us that sometimes the answers we seek lie within. Chapter 3: The Journey of Self-Discovery. Reflecting on personal values and beliefs. Understanding our core values is foundational to unlocking our intuition. When I took the time to reflect on my own values, I found that some emerged as non-negotiables in my life. These values, be it honesty, compassion, or growth, have shaped the way I make decisions and respond to the world around me. Engaging in this self-reflection prompts a deeper awareness of the inner voice that guides our choices. I've learned that when we operate from a place of true alignment with our values, we often feel more confident in our intuitive decisions. Exploring what matters most to us encourages not just a recognition of those values, but also an acknowledgement of the emotions linked to them, creating a rich tapestry of understanding that can heavily influence our gut feelings. To clarify what truly matters, I recommend taking a few moments to meditate or journal. Begin by asking yourself broad questions. What are the moments in my life that made me feel the most fulfilled? What principles do I refuse to sacrifice? As I wrote down my thoughts, I delved into past experiences that resonated with my core values, identifying patterns and themes that consistently brought me joy or frustration. Exercises like value sorting or creating a personal mission statement can serve as wonderful tools. One technique that helped me was listing 10 values and then narrowing them down to my top 3. This simple yet powerful exercise helped crystallize what I prioritize, providing clarity when faced with tough decisions. Whenever uncertainty arises, I revisit these core values as a compass of sorts, guiding me back to what elements are truly essential in any choice I encounter. It's a journey of self-discovery. The more I reflect on my beliefs, the more confident I become in my intuition. This often means pausing when I feel rushed to decide. Taking a moment to ask myself how a particular choice aligns with my values allows me to filter through various options, ultimately leading me to decisions that resonate with my true self. Keeping a personal values checklist handy can serve as a reminder during moments of indecision, anchoring me in what truly matters rather than succumbing to external pressures or fleeting influences. Embracing this practice not only nurtures a deeper relationship with my intuition, but brings a greater sense of authenticity to my actions. Embracing vulnerability, a path to authenticity. Vulnerability plays a crucial role in deepening our connections with ourselves and those around us. When I reflect on my life, I realize that the moments I chose to be vulnerable were the ones that led to the most genuine interactions. I think of a time when I shared my struggles with a close friend, hesitating at first, but eventually allowing my guard to come down. The weight that lifted from my shoulders after sharing my story was remarkable, and I noticed how it prompted my friend to open up about her own challenges. This exchange forged a bond that went beyond casual friendship, evolving into a space of mutual understanding and support. Opening our hearts to vulnerability invites trust into our lives. It's fascinating how this leap can pave the way for listening to our intuition more clearly. I recall a period when I felt torn about a big decision, whether to accept a job offer that didn't align with my values or to adhere to my passion for writing. The more I wrestled with the options in isolation, the more confused I became. Ultimately, it was only after confiding in a mentor about my fears and insecurities that I could hear my intuition whispering the right answer. That act of vulnerability, of allowing myself to be seen in my uncertainty, illuminated my path and instilled the courage to act in accordance with my core beliefs. By embracing vulnerability, we create an environment where trust thrives, empowering not just ourselves, but also those around us to follow their instincts. As we consider this journey into vulnerability, it's essential to remember that it is not a sign of weakness, but rather a brave affirmation of our humanity. By nurturing connections rooted in honesty and trust, we open ourselves up to a richer experience of life. To take this path, one actionable step is to practice sharing small, everyday thoughts or feelings with someone you trust. It could be expressing gratitude, discussing fears, or simply admitting a mistake. These small acts of vulnerability can lead to profound transformations in how we connect with ourselves and others, igniting a spark of authenticity in our relationships. Tools for self-reflection, journaling, and beyond. Journaling serves as a powerful conduit for self-discovery and intuitive clarity. I remember the first time I picked up a journal. It felt like cracking open a door to my innermost thoughts. The simple act of putting pen to paper transformed fleeting thoughts into tangible words, allowing me to unravel emotions and navigate life's complexities. Day after day, I discovered that through writing, I could articulate fears and dreams that often wandered through my mind. It was in those quiet moments, filled with solitude and reflection, that I truly began to understand myself. Journaling provided a safe space to express my vulnerability, revealing patterns in my behavior and offering insights that escaped me in the rush of daily life. Each time I opened the journal, I engaged in a conversation with myself, guiding me toward a greater understanding of my desires and choices and illuminating the path for personal growth. While journaling is a profound tool for self-reflection, other methods also nurture deeper reflection and connection with ourselves. Meditation, for instance, invites stillness into our busy lives. I recall my first meditation session, where I sat in silence, diligently striving to quiet my racing thoughts. Initially, it felt challenging, but as I continued, I learned to embrace those thoughts instead of resisting them. Each breath became an anchor, allowing me to observe my thoughts with compassion rather than judgment. This practice unveiled layers of my psyche that I hadn't fully explored before, offering insights into my reactions and the deeper reasons behind them. Beyond meditation, creative expression has been equally powerful. Whether painting, dancing, or crafting, these forms of expression unlock emotions that words sometimes cannot capture. I often find that when I create without the constraints of perfection, I tap into parts of myself that remain hidden under the surface. Each brushstroke or movement becomes a reflection of my internal state, conveying feelings that transcend language. In weaving together journaling, meditation, and creative expression, we can cultivate a rich tapestry of self-reflection. Each method complements the others, enhancing our understanding and fostering personal growth. It can be invaluable to set aside dedicated time for these practices, creating a sanctuary where introspection flourishes. This simple commitment can unlock the door to self-awareness, guiding us towards more authentic lives. To incorporate these tools into your routine, consider designating a specific time each day for journaling or meditation, or perhaps designate a weekend for creative endeavors. You may find that by engaging in these practices regularly, you create a self-reflective rhythm that deepens your understanding of yourself and the world around you. Such a commitment can bring forth an extraordinary journey towards self-discovery and clarity. Chapter 4. The Role of Fear in Decision-Making. Identifying Fear-Based Decisions. Fear has a remarkable ability to cloud our judgment and suppress our intuition when we face important decisions. The mind, in moments of distress, tends to cling to familiar patterns rather than exploring new possibilities. I remember standing at a crossroads in my career, contemplating a job offer that promised growth but also required leaving the comfort of my current role. My heart raced at the thought of change, and despite my gut feeling nudging me towards the new opportunity, fear held me captive. This inner turmoil often happens when we are confronted with uncertainty or the potential for failure. Our minds can become distorted, amplifying risks and minimizing opportunities. We overlook our capabilities and let fear dictate our choices, leading to missed chances for growth and fulfillment. Recognizing this dynamic is key to making more sound decisions. Developing the ability to recognize when fear is driving our choices can transform our decision making process profoundly. It's essential to pause and assess the feelings that accompany our choices. When I find myself hesitating due to fear, I ask myself a few critical questions. What am I afraid of? Is this fear based on facts or assumptions? Often, simply acknowledging the fear allows it to lose its grip. Practicing mindfulness can also empower us to detach from fear and listen to our intuition. By cultivating awareness of our emotions and examining our motivations, we can uncover whether our choices are driven by genuine desire or by a reaction to fear. Realizing that fear influences our decisions can spark a significant shift in how we navigate life, encouraging us to embrace courage instead. Each time I faced a challenging decision, I reminded myself that fear is an emotional response, not a directive. One practical tip I found invaluable is to write down my thoughts. When I externalize my fears, they become less overwhelming and more manageable. By laying out my fears next to the potential benefits of my decision, I can see a clearer path forward. This simple yet effective exercise has often illuminated what truly matters to me, empowering me to choose growth over comfort, even when the unknown looms large. Strategies for transcending fear. Fear can be an overwhelming force that holds us back from pursuing our true passions and living authentically. I remember a time in my own life when I was paralyzed by fear of failure, of judgment, of the unknown. It wasn't until I began to actively seek practical strategies that my perspective started to shift. One of the most powerful strategies I discovered was the importance of embracing intuition. Intuition acts as an internal compass, guiding us through life's uncertainties. When you feel fear creeping in, pause and check in with your gut feeling. Rather than allowing fear to dominate your thoughts, try to cultivate an inner dialogue that encourages you to trust your instincts. When faced with decisions, take a moment to ask yourself how each option aligns with your deeper values and desires. Over time, I've learned that leaning into intuition can help diffuse fear, transforming it into a sense of clarity and purpose. In addition to embracing intuition, I found that using positive affirmations and visualization techniques can dramatically shift our mindset away from fear. The powerful words we speak to ourselves can build a bridge over the chasm of doubt. For instance, begin each day by setting aside a few moments to repeat affirmations that resonate with you, like, I am capable, or I trust myself. Speaking these words consistently can help rewire your brain, replacing fear with a strong sense of self-belief. Visualization can play a complementing role. It's incredible how much your mind can influence your reality. I started to visualize the outcomes I desired, picturing myself overcoming challenges and riding the wave of success. Whether it was giving a presentation or facing a personal fear, envisioning success reduced my anxiety and built confidence. The brain has an astonishing ability to create pathways through visualization, allowing us to feel prepared and less fearful. Incorporating these strategies into your daily routine can lead to profound changes. Start small. Perhaps set an intention to focus on one affirmation each week. As you become more comfortable with this practice, observe how your relationship with fear evolves. I found that, while fear may never fully disappear, mastering these strategies allowed me to acknowledge it without becoming consumed by it. When fear arises, I now see it as a prompt for growth rather than a deterrent. Remember, the road to transcending fear is systematic. It's about building resilience and nurturing a mindset that leans toward empowerment. By trusting your intuition and actively forging a habit of positive self-talk, you pave the way for a more fearless, fulfilling life. Case studies: how fear influences choices. Throughout our lives, fear shapes many of the choices we make, often in ways we don't fully understand. I remember reading about a man named Tom, who was a talented artist with dreams of showcasing his work in a prominent gallery. However, the fear of rejection loomed over him like a dark cloud. Instead of submitting his artwork, he chose to remain in the shadows, where he felt safe from criticism. Tom's story resonated with me, as it reminded me of the times I held back on opportunities out of sheer fear. Fear can manifest in various forms: fear of failure, fear of judgment, and sometimes even fear of success. Each case reveals how fear can create a barrier, transforming potential into regret. Another example that struck a chord was that of Sarah, a promising entrepreneur whose anxiety about finances stopped her from launching her startup. She spent years crafting ideas, but never took the leap. The fear of losing everything kept her paralyzed, stuck in an endless cycle of planning without execution. These stories are not unique. They echo the silent struggles many face, where fear charts the course of decisions. From these examples, there are valuable lessons for all of us. First, acknowledging our fears gives us a place to start. Fear is a natural response, but it should not dictate our choices. Instead of letting fear control us, we can reframe it as a source of information rather than a blockage. Tom could have viewed his fear of rejection as a stepping stone to growth, a reminder that every artist faces criticism. One actionable takeaway is to set small, manageable goals that push us beyond our comfort zones. Sarah could have started by testing her idea on a smaller scale or even seeking feedback from friends. Small risks can lead to big changes, and the gradual exposure to fear can help diminish its power over us. Remember, every great success story began with an individual who dared to face their fears, bit by bit. By reflecting on these real-life stories, we can find the strength to transform our own fears into catalysts for positive choices. Chapter 5: Cultivating an Intuitive Mindset. Techniques for Sharpening Intuition. Enhancing our intuitive abilities is a journey that involves both exploration and practice. Over the years, I have discovered several techniques that can help sharpen intuition, making it a more reliable part of our decision-making processes. One of the most powerful approaches is mindfulness. By quieting the mind through meditation or deep breathing exercises, we create a space where our inner voice can be heard more clearly. When thoughts settle, the cacophony of daily distractions fades, allowing intuitive insights to emerge. Journaling is another effective technique. Taking the time to write down your thoughts and feelings daily enables you to reflect on patterns and emotions that might otherwise go unnoticed. As you revisit your entries, you may begin to spot intuitive nudges that were hiding in plain sight. Gut feelings often come up when we're faced with a decision or a moment of uncertainty. Tuning into this natural instinct can be a game changer. I remember a time when I had to choose between two job offers. Logically, one seemed superior, yet I couldn't shake a nagging feeling about the other. I began to pay attention to my body, how I felt physically and emotionally in response to each option. Listening to these signals led me to choose the role that ultimately aligned better with my values and aspirations. Cultivating awareness of our gut feelings involves practicing self-reflection and allowing space for emotions to emerge without judgment. Recording these feelings over time in a mood diary can help identify consistent patterns that signify when our intuition is guiding us towards the right path. Building stronger intuitive muscles takes dedication and practice. One practical tip is to invest time in activities that promote creativity. Whether it's painting, dancing, or playing music, engaging in creative outlets opens up pathways in the brain that can enhance our receptiveness to intuitive insights. Additionally, spending time in nature can quiet the mind and restore clarity, helping you tune into your deeper self. The more you nurture these practices, the more you might find that intuition becomes an instinctual response rather than a fleeting thought. Embrace the art of listening to yourself, and you may discover insights that profoundly influence the choices you make every day. Mindfulness and its connection to intuition. Mindfulness practices create a unique opening to tune into our intuitive selves. When I first started my mindfulness journey, I noticed that my thoughts became clearer and my feelings more distinct. This clarity allowed me to recognize the subtle whispers of my intuition that often got drowned out by the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Engaging in mindfulness, whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply being present in the moment, helps me to slow down and connect with the quieter parts of my mind. When we practice being present, we cultivate an awareness that enhances our ability to notice those intuitive nudges guiding us toward better decisions. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency. When we focus and clear the static of distraction, the signal becomes stronger. Integrating mindfulness into daily routines doesn't have to be overwhelming. I've found that simple exercises can make a significant difference. One effective method is the mindful moment. Throughout my day, I take a minute to pause, close my eyes, and focus on my breath. I visualize my breath flowing in and out, anchoring me to the present. During this time, I often ask myself how I feel about a particular situation or decision. This practice not only helps me to center myself, but also allows my intuition to surface. Another exercise involves integrating mindfulness into mundane tasks, such as washing dishes or taking a walk. By paying attention to the sensations, the warmth of the water, the rhythm of my steps, I find that my mind opens up to insights that I might otherwise overlook. Remember that developing a connection to intuition is a gradual process, nurtured through consistent mindfulness practice. I encourage you to take these mindful moments and weave them into your day. As you do so, stay open to whatever arises. Your intuition might emerge as a feeling, an image, or a sudden sense of knowing. The most crucial tip I've learned is to trust what comes up, even if it feels unexplainable. In this modern world filled with distractions, carving out space for mindfulness not only enhances our relationship with ourselves, but also strengthens our intuitive capabilities, guiding us toward more authentic and fulfilling lives. Daily practices to enhance intuitive judgment. Establishing daily habits that promote openness to intuitive insights can significantly transform how we perceive and react to the world around us. One practice that has served me well is setting aside quiet moments during the day, whether through meditation or simply being outdoors. In these moments of stillness, I allow my mind to wander freely, freeing it from the constraints of daily stresses. I find that nature, with its gentle sounds and calming visuals, often brings clarity to my thoughts and opens channels to intuitive feelings I may typically overlook. Journaling has also been invaluable. By writing about my thoughts and experiences, I can often discern patterns or gut feelings that surface as I write, presenting insights that hadn't initially seemed obvious. It's essential to create a daily environment conducive to spontaneity, where I'm not just consuming information, but actively engaging with my impulses and hunches. Practicing mindfulness, whether through deep breathing, yoga, or simple attentiveness to my surroundings, enhances this openness, allowing intuitive insights to emerge without feeling contrived or forced. Encouraging consistency in these practices is just as important as fostering openness. Over time, I've learned that the more frequently I commit to these intuitive exercises, the stronger and more reliable my intuition becomes. Like any skill, intuition thrives on practice. When I dedicate a part of my day to reflect, whether through meditative practices or honing my instincts in decision making, I can feel my intuitive muscles strengthening. Consistency helps in recognizing the small nudges or impressions that often go unnoticed in the rush of everyday life. I've found it beneficial to create a dedicated time, each morning with a cup of tea or in the evening as I wind down, when I intentionally connect with my intuition. It's akin to exercising. The more I engage, the more attuned I become. This regular practice nurtures my inner voice, making it more pronounced as I navigate various situations, both big and small. To cultivate a robust intuitive sense, it's crucial to be patient with oneself. Intuition is rarely a loud, defining voice. Instead, it often whispers quietly among our thoughts. Engaging in daily practices can reveal these whispers, gradually building trust in our instincts. One practical tip is to keep an intuition journal, noting down moments when I relied on my instincts and the outcomes that followed. Over time, this not only builds confidence, but serves as a powerful reminder of my inner capacity for judgment. Observing these patterns further enhances my recognition of intuitive nudges in future situations, making each practice a stepping stone toward deeper understanding and receptivity. Chapter 6: Intuition in Relationships, Recognizing Intuitive Signals in Others. Nonverbal cues are incredibly powerful. They can reveal emotions and instincts that words often fail to capture. As I reflect on my journey in understanding these signs, I recall a moment when I was sitting across from a friend who appeared disengaged. Her arms were crossed tightly, and her gaze drifted to the table rather than our conversation. Although she repeatedly said, "I'm fine," her body language told a different story. Recognizing those intuitive signals can transform our interactions. A slight flinch, a subtle change in tone, or even the way someone shifts their weight can be the key to tapping into their deeper feelings. Paying attention to facial expressions, such as furrowed brows or pursed lips, can signal discomfort or hesitation. The art lies in observing these signs without jumping to conclusions, but rather connecting them to the context of our conversations. Emotional intelligence plays a significant role in intuitive understanding. It's not just about recognizing someone's feelings, but also about interpreting them accurately and responding appropriately. I remember a colleague who always had a knack for reading the room. During tense meetings, he could sense when anxiety began to bubble beneath the surface, even before the words were spoken. His ability to empathize and adjust his approach made him a natural leader. When we cultivate our emotional intelligence, we develop a deeper awareness of our own emotions and those of others. This makes it easier to navigate complex social dynamics. Learning to decode those signals and respond with empathy enhances our relationships and builds trust. It's about honing our skills to be more present with others, allowing us to see beyond their words. The next time you find yourself in conversation, take a step back and tune into the nonverbal cues around you. Ask yourself what the tone of the room feels like, what the body language is conveying, and whether there's a disconnect between what is said and unspoken feelings. By practicing this level of awareness and developing our emotional intelligence, we can foster deeper connections and create more meaningful interactions. Start with small moments where you consciously observe and interpret, allowing these abilities to grow naturally over time. This practice can profoundly shift the way we relate to others, opening doors to understanding that lie beneath the surface. The impact of intuition on communication. When I reflect on my relationships, the instances where intuition guided my communication stand out vividly. Intuition serves as an unspoken bond, allowing us to connect on a deeper level, beyond mere words. I remember a time when I had a conversation with my friend who was going through a tough phase. At first, I planned to offer her practical advice. However, as we spoke, I sensed her need for empathy rather than solutions. My gut feeling pushed me to listen more, to validate her feelings. This shift toward authentic communication not only strengthened our bond, but also made her feel understood. Intuition enhances this authentic communication by allowing us to tune into others' emotions and needs, fostering trust and closeness in our relationships. Deepening dialogue requires more than just exchanging words. It involves immersing ourselves in the moment and acknowledging what lies beneath the surface. I often find myself reflecting on how intuition can guide these conversations. One strategy I discovered is to embrace pauses. Pauses might feel awkward at first, but I've learned that they create space for deeper insights. During dialogues where I practice this, I notice the other person often reveals thoughts they might not have initially shared. Additionally, asking open-ended questions invites deeper reflection. Instead of rushing to respond, I allow the conversation to breathe. This practice, enriched by my intuitive insights, transforms a simple discussion into a meaningful exchange, encouraging both parties to explore their emotions authentically. It's clear that reflecting on our interactions can provide invaluable insights into enhancing our communicative abilities. Listening actively, responding thoughtfully, and allowing space for intuition to guide our exchanges creates an environment where authentic connections flourish. By nurturing this intuitive approach, we not only improve our relationships, but also enrich our own understanding of ourselves and those around us. A useful tip to take away is the importance of trust, both in yourself and in others. Trust your gut feelings when engaging in conversations, as they often are indicators of what's necessary for meaningful dialogue. Take a moment to pause and reflect before responding, allowing intuition to play a role in your communication journey. Building healthy relationships through intuition. Trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, and I've come to learn that intuition plays a significant role in nurturing that trust. There have been moments in my life when I felt an overwhelming sense of knowing about someone's intentions or feelings without them saying a word. These instances allowed me to connect with people on a deeper level. For example, I once had a friend who was going through a rough patch. Although they tried to put on a brave face, my intuition was alerting me that all was not well. This inner voice pushed me to reach out, and it turned out they desperately needed someone to listen. By trusting my intuition, I was able to show support in a way that made them feel valued and secure. When we cultivate our intuition, we're not merely relying on facts or surface interactions, we're tapping into a rich vein of emotional understanding that fosters trust between us. Intuition helps us sense when someone is receptive or when they need space, thus enabling us to respond appropriately and build stronger bonds. Cultivating connections based on intuitive understanding requires both self-awareness and openness. I've found that spending a few moments in quiet reflection can sharpen my intuitive skills. Sitting in silence has allowed me to tune into the subtle changes in energy around me and in my relationships. Journaling is another tool that can enhance this process. As I put pen to paper, I often uncover feelings and thoughts that have been lurking beneath the surface. These practices create space for honest dialogue, not just with others, but also with myself. When I connect these writings back to my interactions, it becomes easier to understand my responses and the responses of those around me. Don't hesitate to ask open-ended questions to others as well, allowing them to share their feelings. This not only strengthens the connection, but also often brings forth intuitive insights that would have otherwise remained unnoticed. Trusting our intuition doesn't come easy, but the rewards of doing so are immeasurable. It's crucial to remember that this isn't about ignoring rational thought or evidence, but about weaving emotional intelligence into our decision-making. By reflecting on our intuitive experiences and acknowledging them when they align or differ from our expectations, we become more skilled at navigating relationships. One practical tip I've embraced is to practice mindfulness during conversations. Paying close attention to not only the words spoken, but also to body language and emotional cues can help clarify the unsaid messages. This awareness will guide you in affirming instances where intuition and trust intersect, ultimately leading to deeper and more fulfilling interactions. Chapter 7: Decision Making, the Intuitive Approach. Balancing Logic and Intuition. Integrating both logical reasoning and intuitive thinking is crucial for making well-rounded decisions. Throughout my journey, I have often found myself at a crossroads, torn between what felt instinctively right and what made the most rational sense. To rely solely on logic can sometimes feel sterile, like experiencing life through a lens devoid of color, while intuition, filled with warmth and vitality, can lead to decisions that inspire yet risk complacency. The real magic, I have learned, occurs when these two forces join hands and dance together. It's in those moments of harmony that I have experienced breakthroughs in creativity and clarity, in clarity of thought. Whether it was choosing a career path or navigating personal relationships, I recognized that I needed to give equal voice to both my analytical mind and my gut feelings. Approaching decisions holistically requires frameworks that honor this balance. One method I found particularly enlightening is the two-track decision-making approach. This strategy allows me to outline the logical criteria for a decision while simultaneously acknowledging my feelings and instincts related to the situation. For example, when contemplating a major life change, such as starting a new job, I jot down the logical aspects, salary, benefits, location, next to the intuitive feelings I have, such as excitement or apprehension about the company culture. This visual representation serves as a powerful reminder that both elements carry weight and provide insight. As I navigate this dual path approach, I constantly remind myself that I don't have to fully understand why I feel a certain way. That feeling is part of the data I gather to make an informed choice. Ultimately, we all hold the tools to enrich our decision-making processes. One actionable takeaway is to create your own decision-making map, placing logic on one side and intuition on the other. This visual balance not only clarifies your thoughts, but cultivates a deeper understanding of yourself, encouraging growth in both realms. Allow this balanced approach to permeate your life, nurturing your ability to see decisions as multifaceted and complex, rather than binary choices. Embracing this interplay between logic and intuition is not just a skill, it's an art form that evolves as we do. Case studies, successful, intuitive decisions. One of the most fascinating aspects of leadership is the remarkable instances where successful leaders have relied on their intuition during critical decision making moments. Consider Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. When Schultz took the company private in 2008 to navigate the financial turbulence, his choice to focus on customer experience rather than cutting costs was largely intuitive. He recognized that returning to the roots of what made Starbucks appealing, its cozy atmosphere and high quality coffee, would draw people back to the stores. This decision not only rejuvenated the brand, but also deepened customer loyalty. Listening to his gut led him to transform potential losses into a stronger connection with patrons. Examples like Schultz demonstrate the power of intuitive thinking. In a world saturated with data and analytics, sometimes our instincts hold the key to breakthrough success. To understand the effectiveness of these intuitive decisions, one must analyze the factors that made them successful. In Schultz's case, his deep understanding of the brand and unwavering passion for the customer experience guided him. Many leaders and experts agree that intuition often stems from a wealth of experiences, past knowledge, and emotional intelligence. Take Steve Jobs as another example. His ability to predict consumer needs, like the introduction of the iPhone, was less about large-scale market research and more about his inherent understanding of design and functionality, paired with a strong vision. Jobs combined his intuitive insights with a commitment to innovation, allowing him to create products that consumers didn't even know they wanted. This blend of experience and instinct is characteristic of successful intuitive decisions. Reflecting on these examples, it becomes clear that while intuition plays an invaluable role in decision-making, it isn't merely a blind leap of faith. It's often informed by accumulated knowledge and a strong sense of self-awareness. To cultivate your intuitive decision-making abilities, consider creating a habit of reflection. Regularly take time to ponder past decisions, both successful and unfortunate, and analyze the feelings or instinctual nudges that guided you. By practicing this self-awareness and learning from your experiences, you can refine your ability to trust your intuition while making critical decisions. An intuitive approach, combined with deliberate thinking, can frequently lead to unexpected and rewarding outcomes. Creating a decision-making framework. In the intricate maze of life, every decision we make often feels like standing at a crossroads, unsure of which path will lead us to our desired destination. This uncertainty can paralyze us or drive us to make impulsive choices. To navigate this complexity, I've discovered that a practical decision-making framework can be an invaluable tool. This framework embraces not just data and logic, but also the intuitive insights we all possess. I've often found that my gut feelings can serve as a sounding board, highlighting things my rational mind might overlook. For instance, as I pondered a significant career shift, I initially leaned heavily on spreadsheets and projections. However, it was that quiet inner voice, the one that whispered how excited I felt about the new possibilities, that ultimately guided my decision. Incorporating intuitive insights harnesses the full spectrum of our cognitive capabilities, ensuring that our decisions resonate with both heart and mind. Encouraging readers to adapt this framework to their unique decision-making styles is essential. Throughout my journey, I've observed how different approaches yield different outcomes. What works for one person may not resonate with another. Some thrive on detailed analysis, diving deeply into every statistic and fact, while others make swift decisions, relying on their instincts to steer them in the right direction. The key is to reflect on what feels authentic to you. When I faced a pivotal decision about relocating to a new city, I learned to step back and evaluate my process. Did I need hours of research, or was there value in simply imagining the change and how it would make me feel? Embracing that flexibility saved me time and stress, allowing me to chart a course that felt genuinely right. By tailoring this decision-making framework to suit your preferences, you not only empower yourself, but also enhance your ability to discern what truly matters in every choice you face. Taking a moment to identify your unique decision-making style can be a game changer. Consider the last significant decision you made. Did you lean more on feelings, facts, or perhaps a blend of both? Engaging with this self-awareness paves the way for more informed decisions in the future. As you navigate your choices, try to balance both analytical thinking and intuitive insights, allowing them to complement each other. This harmony is where effective decision-making thrives, turning what once felt overwhelming into a manageable process filled with clarity and purpose. As you embrace a tailored approach, remember to trust yourself. The most profound insights often lie within. Chapter 8: Intuition in Work and Career. Listening to your inner voice at work. Trusting our intuition in the workplace can feel daunting, yet it often leads us down the most fulfilling paths. Intuition often whispers to us through gut feelings or sudden insights, especially when making career choices or facing professional challenges. There was a time early in my career when I was offered a promotion that seemed great on paper, yet something inside me hesitated. I listened to that inner voice and chose to explore other opportunities that truly aligned with my values and interests. In retrospect, that decision paved the way for experiences and growth that defined my career, all because I trusted that subtle nudge. So, when you find yourself at a crossroads, it's essential to pause and tap into your intuition. Ask yourself what feels right, not just what seems logical or expected. This practice can help you uncover paths that resonate more deeply with who you are and what you want from your professional life. Integrating intuitive feelings into workplace decisions is a skill that can enhance both personal fulfillment and professional success. When faced with crucial decisions, consider carving out dedicated time to reflect. This might mean stepping away from your desk for a few minutes or even taking a walk. During this time, allow yourself to focus on what your gut is telling you about the situation. You might want to create a space where you can jot down your thoughts or feelings, transforming those vague instincts into clear insights. It's vital to acknowledge that intuition doesn't overshadow rational thinking. Instead, it complements it. By blending analytical reasoning with intuitive insights, you create a richer decision-making process that considers both facts and feelings. In my experience, this dual approach has led to more balanced and satisfying outcomes. Real-life scenarios make the importance of this balance even clearer. Consider a colleague of mine who was uncertain about taking on a challenging project. While the risks loomed large in her mind, her intuition was urging her forward. After weighing her skills and desires, she decided to embrace the challenge. The result was not only a successful project, but a newfound confidence that transformed her career. By trusting her intuition and aligning it with her capabilities, she opened doors to future opportunities. Remember, the next time you face a decision at work, listen closely to that inner voice. It could guide you to choices that align more authentically with who you are. One practical tip is to keep a journal where you can regularly reflect on decisions and your gut reactions. Over time, you might notice patterns that reveal more about your inner voice and how it guides your professional journey. The role of intuition in leadership. Effective leaders often rely on their intuition to navigate the complexities of guiding their teams. Intuition is that gut feeling, that subtle sense of what might be right or wrong in a given situation. I've found that many times when faced with a tough decision, it's my instinctive feelings that emerge as the most reliable compass. For instance, during a significant project, I once sensed that a particular team member was struggling, despite them not verbally voicing any concerns. I took the initiative to check in with them. This small move not only solidified our relationship, but also unlocked insights that allowed us to adjust our course of action. It's moments like these that remind me intuition can serve as an invaluable tool in leadership. While data and analytics have their place, it's the intangible wisdom derived from experience that often leads to the most meaningful outcomes. Analyzing key traits of intuitive leaders reveals why they can be so successful in their ventures. These leaders are often excellent listeners. They pay attention not only to what is being said, but also to what's left unsaid. This deep listening allows them to tune into the unspoken dynamics within their teams. Moreover, they are adaptable, ready to pivot their strategies when their intuition signals they are off course. I have seen leaders who remained rigid in their plans, despite warning signs only to face avoidable setbacks. Intuitive leaders also possess high emotional intelligence, enabling them to understand and empathize with the feelings and motivations of their team members. This creates a culture of trust and open communication. The ability to read the room is a hallmark of successful leadership. By fostering this environment, intuitive leaders cultivate a sense of belonging, empowering their teams to contribute their best selves. As you contemplate the role of intuition in your own leadership style, remember that it doesn't exist in isolation. It is often honed through experience, reflection, and a willingness to learn from both successes and failures. Consider keeping a journal where you record decision-making processes, noting when intuition guided you correctly and when it may have faltered. This practice can enhance your self-awareness and improve your intuitive skills over time. Engaging deeply with the people around you and staying attuned to both their verbal and nonverbal cues can enhance your leadership effectiveness. Ultimately, embracing the role of intuition allows leaders to not only navigate the waters of uncertainty, but also to inspire their teams towards a shared vision. Navigating career choices with intuition. Intuition has a remarkable ability to guide us through significant career decisions, often leading us toward paths that resonate deeply with our true selves. I remember sitting at my desk one afternoon, scrolling through job listings that seemed perfectly aligned with my qualifications, but felt utterly uninspiring. It was during that moment of disillusionment that I started to tune into an inner voice urging me to explore a direction I had brushed aside, pursuing a creative career in writing. This realization was unexpected, but the more I sat with it, the clearer it became that this path felt more authentic to who I was. Intuition is that quiet but persistent whisper that can provide clarity when you feel lost in the noise of societal expectations and conventional wisdom. By paying attention to our gut feelings and allowing ourselves the space to explore these nudges, we can uncover career choices that not only suit our skills, but also align with our passions and values. Recognizing when to follow our intuition rather than adhering strictly to conventional wisdom can be challenging. It's easy to feel pressured by peers or mentors who suggest taking the safe route based on traditional success metrics like salary or stability. However, there have been many times I've found that stepping away from typical advice opened doors to fulfilling opportunities. For instance, a friend of mine ignored the conventional path of becoming an accountant as advised by her family. Instead, she embraced her love for food and started a catering business. This decision, based purely on her instincts, transformed her life and led her to a successful career that she loves. The key is to cultivate moments of self-reflection and create space in your life where intuition can surface. Ask yourself questions like, what excites me? Or what would I choose if no one else's opinion mattered? By digging into these contemplations, we can nurture an awareness of our own inner compass, allowing it to steer us toward choices that resonate more profoundly. One actionable strategy to develop your intuitive sense in career decisions is to incorporate mindfulness practices into your daily routine. Mindfulness allows us to slow down and tune in, creating a clearer channel for intuition to speak. Try setting aside a few minutes each day for quiet reflection or journaling about your hopes and dreams. Noting your feelings when considering different career paths can also reveal patterns that your intuition may be trying to point out. Additionally, embracing uncertainty can be liberating. Rather than fixating on the right choice, be open to exploring various options without fearing the judgment of others. With time, patience, and practice, you'll learn to recognize and trust your instinctual guide, leading you to a fulfilling career path that genuinely reflects who you are. Chapter 9: The Intersection of Intuition and Creativity. How intuition fuels creative processes. Intuition has always been a whispering presence in my creative journey, an unexplainable nudge that often clarifies the murky waters of artistic endeavors. In my experience, the best moments of artistic creation occur when I surrender to this inner voice. I remember one particular instance when I was struggling to capture the mood of a painting. I had meticulously planned every brushstroke, yet something felt off. Then, one evening, as I sat in front of the canvas, I noticed a flicker of inspiration. The colors seemed to bleed together in my mind, a bold crimson moving into deep indigo. Trusting this internal sense, I abandoned my original plan and followed the colors where they wanted to go. The result was a piece that not only surprised me, but resonated deeply with everyone who viewed it. This experience solidified my understanding that intuition and creativity are intertwined, akin to dance partners in an intricate ballet. Our instincts often arise from experiences we may not even consciously acknowledge, feeding our creative processes in ways we cannot quantify yet should not dismiss. Intuitive insights can spark innovation in the most unexpected ways. I recall a discussion with a friend who works in technology where he shared a breakthrough idea that came to him during a mundane moment. He was washing dishes, minding his own business, when a solution to a persistent problem danced into his mind, clear and compelling. The notion was to change the way users interacted with a particular software feature, making it more intuitive, the very essence of user experience design. This epiphany led him to create a product that became a game changer in his industry. His story resonates with countless tales of innovation emerging from the realm of the unconscious. By embracing these flashes of insight, we open doors to a world where solutions are not just derived from analytics, but birthed from a deeper understanding of the human experience. Trusting my intuition has allowed me to explore unconventional paths in my work, leading to breakthroughs that I could never have anticipated. One powerful takeaway from my exploration of intuition and creativity is the importance of creating space for these insights to emerge. Carving out time for contemplation, or simply allowing your mind to wander, can lead to significant revelations. Whether you're an artist, a writer, or an entrepreneur, giving yourself permission to sit with your thoughts, without the pressure of productivity, can foster that spark of creativity. Intuition thrives in environments where we feel safe to be curious and explore. Each of us has a unique relationship with our intuition. Nurturing that bond can unveil hidden talents and ignite passion in our work. Take time to listen to that inner voice, follow its guidance, and watch how it can lead you to unexpected and wonderful places. Activities to stimulate creative intuition. When I think back to the moments where my most vibrant ideas emerged, I realize that they were often ignited by simple exercises that jostled my thinking. These exercises are designed to spark intuition and enhance creative output. One of my favorites is free writing, where I set a timer for 10 minutes and write whatever comes to mind without stopping. No erasing, no editing, just flow. This method allows the subconscious to take the stage, unearthing thoughts that often remain hidden beneath layers of self-doubt and criticism. I remember a day when I wrote about a mundane errand, and before I knew it, vivid characters and a plot began to form in my mind, leading to a short story that surprised me. Another great exercise involves visualizing a problem or challenge, and then doodling or sketching the first image that comes to mind. This nonlinear approach can reveal unique solutions that analytical thinking often overlooks, tapping into a wellspring of intuition that resides within each of us. Exploring different mediums and approaches is another essential aspect of stimulating creative intuition. Embracing variety can be transformative. For instance, my experience with painting opened new avenues in my writing. Initially, I was hesitant to pick up a paintbrush, fearing I wouldn't measure up to my own expectations. But once I did, using colors and textures to express thoughts I had yet to articulate, it became a liberating experience. As I splattered paint onto canvas, I felt my words flow more freely afterward. My creative well had been replenished. Similarly, experimenting with photography was eye-opening. Capturing everyday moments through a lens made me more observant and mindful, sharpening my senses and allowing me to find stories in the mundane. Each medium offers a different perspective, often leading us down unexpected paths of inspiration and insight. So don't hesitate to dive into new fields and techniques. The act of creation itself can awaken dormant faculties of intuition. As you weave these practices into your routine, remember that creativity often thrives in play. Set aside time without the pressure of producing something monumental. Allow yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to be imperfect. It was through countless sketches that I finally found my style, and those early drafts of stories helped me uncover my unique voice. The point is not to chase after the so-called right way, but to indulge in exploration and delight in the process. So if you feel stuck, take a chance on something new. Grab a journal, try a different form of art, or walk in nature with your camera. It's often in these uncharted experiences that true inspiration lies. The more you play, the more your intuition can breathe and expand. Personal stories of creative breakthroughs. Every creative journey is marked by moments when an individual had to deeply trust their intuition. One artist I spoke with, Lisa, described a turning point in her career. She was working on a series of paintings that weren't resonating with her. No matter how hard she tried to push through, the work felt flat and uninspired. One evening, while staring at a blank canvas, she suddenly felt a pull to use colors she had never considered before. It was a leap of faith. Her intuition whispered to her that these colors would speak to her audience. Trusting that feeling, she embraced it wholeheartedly. In the end, the vibrant hues sparked her creativity, transforming her work into a collection that garnered attention and praise. This story exemplifies how tapping into our intuitive feelings can lead to breakthroughs that might otherwise remain hidden beneath layers of self-doubt and convention. The role of intuition can be profound when it comes to overcoming creative blocks. Many creatives face periods when they feel stuck, as if an invisible wall has been built around their inspiration. A writer friend of mine, Tom, experienced this firsthand. He was drafting a novel, but the plot had become tangled and unmanageable. After weeks of frustration, he decided to take a break and go for a long walk. During that walk, he allowed his mind to wander without judgment. It was during this time that an idea struck him, something he had never considered before. He visualized his protagonist taking a completely different path. Trusting this newfound direction, Tom returned to his writing with a fresh perspective. The once confining walls began to dissolve, and he found his creativity flowing again with renewed vigor. This demonstrates just how valuable it can be to listen to our instincts and give ourselves the space to breathe when we feel confined. Both of these stories teach us that trusting our intuition is not just about following whims. It's a deep-seated recognition of what resonates with our authentic selves. When confronted with self-doubt or creative challenges, taking a step back to recalibrate can often facilitate clarity. To harness this approach, one practical tip is to create a dedicated time for reflection. Whether through journaling, meditation, or simply taking a walk in nature, allowing your mind to roam freely can open up pathways that might have been locked away by fear or second-guessing. Remember, creativity thrives in spaces where intuition is honored and curiosity is given the freedom to explore. Chapter 10. The Influence of Environment on Intuition. Creating spaces that encourage intuition. Physical spaces play a surprisingly critical role in shaping our intuitive processes. When I first began exploring this idea, I realized that certain environments sparked my creativity and gut feelings more than others. Imagine walking into a cluttered office filled with harsh fluorescent lights and the incessant hum of machines. It's hard to tap into your intuition in that kind of place. On the other hand, think of a sunlit room with comfortable seating, plants, and soft colors. It immediately invites you to relax, breathe, and let your mind roam free. In these warmer, welcoming spaces, I often find ideas bubbling up effortlessly, as if they were just waiting for the right environment to emerge. The design of our surroundings can either block or fuel our intuitive capabilities, impacting our ability to connect with our inner selves and the raw insights that often surge forth when we feel safe and unpressured. Designing spaces that foster creative and intuitive thinking involves a few key elements. First, consider incorporating natural light and elements from nature. I've found that surrounding myself with greenery not only soothes my mind, but actually enhances my problem-solving skills. Plants can create a sense of tranquility and improve air quality, which helps clear mental clutter. Next, think about the layout. Open spaces with versatile furniture allow for movement and spontaneity, whereas rigid arrangements can stifle creativity. Cozy nooks for quiet reflection can also be a great addition. I've often retreated to these less formal settings to let my thoughts flow freely. Don't shy away from surprising or whimsical decor. Quirky artwork or interactive installations can stir curiosity, prompting surprising ideas and perspectives. Finally, it's crucial to keep the space adaptable. I have an area in my home where I shift my materials and tools based on the project at hand. This flexibility invites fresh approaches and keeps the creative energy alive. Encouraging intuition in our environments goes beyond aesthetics. It's about creating a psychological sanctuary where our thoughts can wander. Whenever I design a space for myself or others, I prioritize comfort and inspiration, often blending places for collaboration alongside cozy corners for solitary thinking. Even simple features like comfortable seating, the right temperature, and soothing background sounds can dramatically influence how open we are to intuitive insights. As you think about your own spaces, whether at home or work, consider small adjustments that can bring in more light, comfort, and a touch of nature. You don't have to embark on a full renovation to make these improvements. Sometimes, a simple rearrangement or the addition of a few plants can unleash the creative spirit lying dormant within. Every little change can create ripples that lead to deeper insights. Nature's role in enhancing intuitive clarity. Connecting with nature has profound benefits for boosting our intuition and clarity of thought. When I step outside and feel the earth beneath my feet or listen to the rustling of leaves, a sense of calm washes over me. It's as if nature creates a space where my racing thoughts can settle, allowing the whispers of my inner voice to rise above the noise. Numerous studies have shown that spending time outdoors, whether in a dense forest or a quiet park, can help reduce stress, elevate mood, and, importantly, enhance cognitive function. The fresh air and natural light stimulate our senses and foster a state of mindfulness, opening the door to clearer, more intuitive thinking. I often find that after a walk in the woods or a moment of stillness by a lake, my mind is sharper and my decision-making feels more aligned with my true self. This alignment with nature encourages a deeper connection to our intuition, allowing it to guide us more effectively. Engaging with nature also involves specific activities that can facilitate intuitive insights. For instance, sitting quietly in a natural setting and focusing on the sounds around me, like birdsong or the wind whispering through the trees, allows my thoughts to drift away. This practice cultivates a deep listening that goes beyond hearing. It opens a channel for intuitive thoughts to emerge. Journaling while surrounded by nature has been another powerful tool for me. I've found that when I write about my feelings or thoughts while soaking in the beauty around me, unexpected ideas and realizations often surface. Hiking is another great activity that not only offers physical benefits, but also lets me immerse myself in the rhythm of nature. As I navigate the trails, I often find that my mind clears and solutions to problems I've been wrestling with become crystal clear. Whether it's simply walking barefoot on grass or participating in a guided nature meditation, each experience has the potential to draw out those quiet insights waiting to be heard. To truly harness these benefits, consider incorporating regular time outdoors into your routine. Even short daily walks can create a ripple effect on your mental clarity and intuitive capabilities. Start small. Perhaps spend 15 minutes in your backyard or a nearby park. As you do, allow yourself to simply be present, noticing the colors, the scents, and the feelings that arise. The more you connect with nature, the more you may find your intuition becoming a reliable companion. Nature has an elegant way of drawing out truth, so pay attention to your inner responses as you explore. Always remember that listening to your intuition can lead to profound insights, and nature is the perfect backdrop for this essential work. The impact of social surroundings on intuition. Our social circle profoundly influences our ability to listen to our intuition. Think about the conversations you have with friends or family. Do they fuel your inner voice or silence it? When I reflect on moments of clarity, I often remember those instances when I was surrounded by people who encouraged me to trust my gut feelings. It's remarkable how a supportive atmosphere can amplify our intuitive insights, whereas a negative one might make us second-guess ourselves. For instance, there was a time when a friend shared her ambitious dream of starting a business. The excitement in our circle was palpable, and it pushed her to act on her intuition rather than dismiss it as impossible. Contrast that with situations where skepticism loomed. Doubts infiltrate thoughts, turning what could have been strong insights into confusing noise. Our social interactions serve as either a nurturing garden for our intuition or a choking weed of doubt. Recognizing who in your circle uplifts your intuitive self is crucial in navigating the complexities of decision making. Evaluating the relationships around us is a vital step toward intuitive growth. I've personally gone through phases where I had to reassess certain connections, acknowledging that not every relationship serves my highest good. This can be a tough but necessary journey. Reflecting on who encourages your instincts is essential for emotional and mental clarity. As I distanced myself from friends who dismissed my insights, I found space to nurture relationships with those who celebrated bold decisions and encouraged listening to one's heart. This doesn't mean cutting ties with everyone who isn't supportive. Rather, it's about cultivating connections that foster a richer, more intuitive life. Encourage yourself to ask key questions. Do my friends celebrate my successes? Do they validate my feelings, or do they often invalidate them? Understanding the quality of these relationships can lead to profound personal growth. Remember, your intuition is like a compass that guides you through the maze of life, but its readings can be muddled by the conflicting signals from those around you. To nurture your instincts, prioritize connections that resonate with your true self. Embrace those relationships that empower you to express what you feel and believe in your instincts. Seek spaces where sharing intuitive insights isn't met with skepticism, but with curiosity and support. This shift can be transformational. A practical tip is to journal about your interactions after spending time with others. Notice how you feel about yourself afterward. Are you energized or drained? Are your intuitive nudges celebrated or ignored? This reflection can serve as a powerful tool to understand your social landscape better and move toward those who truly encourage your unique intuition. Chapter 11: Intuition and Mental Health. How intuition can aid mental well-being. Intuition often feels like that quiet whisper from within, a gut feeling that guides us without needing any logical justification. This inner voice is closely linked with self-awareness, as it encourages us to tune into our emotions, thoughts, and bodily sensations. When I began to trust my intuition, I found myself more attuned to my mental health. There were moments when I was faced with dilemmas that seemed overwhelming, but deep down, I often knew the right path to take. Listening to that instinctive wisdom helped me cultivate a sense of self and navigate through life's uncertainties more confidently. Research shows that people who practice self-awareness through reflective exercises experience lower levels of anxiety and depression. This connection between intuition and mental health emphasizes how understanding ourselves can significantly improve our emotional well-being. Trusting one's intuition can be transformative in daily life. For example, when I hesitated about a job opportunity that didn't feel quite right, my intuition was urging me to reconsider. Instead of pushing aside my feelings to follow what seemed like a logical choice, I took the time to listen. The therapeutic benefits of this practice are profound. It empowers us to make decisions that resonate with our true selves. As I began to consistently honor my intuitive insights, I noticed a lightness emerging in my daily activities. Decisions became easier and less stressful as I learned to trust that internal compass more. In fact, the very act of paying attention to my intuition has helped countless individuals feel more grounded and present, ultimately leading to a greater sense of peace. A practical tip to enhance your relationship with intuition involves setting aside regular time for reflection. This can be journaling your thoughts, meditating, or even going for walks in nature, allowing space for your mind to quiet down. By developing a habit of tuning in to what you really feel and need, you can cultivate a stronger connection with your intuitive self. Each of these moments can serve as a bridge to better mental health, as you learn to navigate through life with a clearer sense of who you are and what you truly want. Embrace that gentle nudge from within. It holds the potential to guide you toward a more fulfilling life. Intuition versus anxiety. Understanding the difference. Intuition feels different from anxiety in our bodies and minds. Intuition often arises as a subtle, calm knowing that suggests a path or decision without the noise of overthinking. It might feel like a gentle nudge or a quiet voice that guides you toward what feels right. For instance, I remember a time when I faced a career decision. I was offered two jobs, one that paid well but didn't excite me, and another that sparked my enthusiasm. My instinct drew me toward the latter, a decision that initially felt risky but ultimately brought me joy and fulfillment. In contrast, anxiety can be overwhelming, manifesting as racing thoughts, tightness in the chest, or a sense of impending doom. When I faced a different turning point in life, the pressure felt suffocating, clouding my judgment and filling my mind with what if scenarios that kept me up at night. Recognizing the distinct characteristics of these feelings can create a clearer path through life's choices. Learning to differentiate between intuition and anxiety requires practice and self reflection. One effective strategy is to create space for silence and solitude, allowing thoughts to settle. Sitting quietly and focusing on your breath can help identify which voice is speaking. When anxiety grips me, I often take a few moments to breathe deeply, noticing how those anxious thoughts feel heavy and oppressive, whereas an intuitive thought feels lighter, almost freeing. Journaling can also be a powerful tool. When I write down my thoughts, I can often sift through the chaos and find clarity. Listing my feelings beside my decisions can highlight which thoughts are rooted in fear and which arise from genuine insight. Lastly, seeking guidance from a trusted friend or mentor can provide external perspective. They might see patterns or insights I miss, helping me validate my intuition when it rings true, or prompting me to question anxious beliefs that feel uncertain. Trusting my heart while remaining grounded in reality is a balancing act, but it's one that can lead to more authentic choices. Techniques for combating mental blocks to intuition. Overcoming mental barriers that obstruct intuitive thoughts requires a deep understanding of the mind's complexities. I've often found that the most significant roadblocks stem from our fears and self-doubt. When faced with a crucial decision or a creative block, I've learned to turn inward and confront those nagging voices that tell me I'm not good enough or that my instincts are wrong. A powerful technique is to challenge these negative thoughts. Whenever I catch myself doubting my intuition, I consciously ask, what evidence do I have that my gut feeling isn't valid? This simple practice shifts my mindset and allows me to view my thoughts as just that, thoughts, not facts. Additionally, I've discovered that journaling can be immensely helpful. By writing down my feelings and the thoughts that block my intuition, I create distance from them, making it easier to identify patterns and realize that they often arise from past experiences rather than actual truths. I encourage readers to explore this process for themselves. It's enlightening to see mental blocks laid out in black and white. The practice of mindfulness has become a cornerstone in my journey toward accessing my intuition. Mindfulness encourages us to live in the present moment, promoting a calm state that is fertile for intuitive insights. I've integrated mindfulness into my daily routine through simple techniques such as focused breathing and paying attention to my surroundings. For instance, during moments of stress or overwhelm, I take a few moments to close my eyes, breathe deeply, and notice the sensations in my body. This not only relaxes me, but also clears the mental clutter that often clouds my intuition. In those serene moments, I often find that intuitive thoughts emerge more clearly, as if they were waiting for me to quiet the noise around me. Relaxation techniques such as meditation or gentle yoga also play a significant role in this process. By releasing physical and mental tension, we create a welcoming space for our intuitive mind to flourish. Ultimately, the journey to enhance one's access to intuition involves a blend of techniques that foster mental clarity and emotional balance. Embracing our inner thoughts and practicing mindfulness opens up pathways that may have previously been blocked. Please remember that tuning into your intuition is a skill that requires patience and practice. Each small step towards nurturing this connection adds to your overall awareness and understanding of yourself. Whenever you feel disconnected from your intuition, revisit those grounding practices. They're not just tools, but companions on your journey of self-discovery and empowerment. So the next time you face a decision or a creative block, take a moment to breathe deeply, listen closely, and trust that your intuition has something valuable to share. Chapter 12: Insights from Experts, Psychology and Intuition. Interviews with psychologists on intuition. Gathering insights from leading psychologists on the significance of intuition reveals a fascinating landscape. During my conversations with various experts, it became evident that intuition is not merely a mysterious force, but a vital component of decision making. For instance, Dr. Lisa Mendelsohn, a psychologist known for her work in cognitive processes, described intuition as an internal compass that can guide us when faced with uncertainty. She shared an experience from her early career where a gut feeling led her to investigate a seemingly trivial detail in a case study, which ultimately uncovered significant insights that shaped her research. This personal anecdote highlighted how intuition often operates beneath the surface, drawing from our past experiences and emotions. Similarly, Dr. James Carrington emphasized that intuition is a byproduct of both our knowledge and subconscious patterns. He likened it to an artist creating a masterpiece without fully understanding each brushstroke's significance. The end result often holds a deeper meaning than the individual components. Summarizing key takeaways from these expert discussions, it is clear that intuition plays a crucial role in personal growth. For instance, both psychologists stressed the importance of trusting one's instincts, especially in high-pressure environments. Dr. Mendelsohn mentioned how many successful leaders often credit their achievements to moments when they trusted their intuition, despite lacking full information. This insight signals the need for individuals to cultivate their intuition, viewing it not as an isolated epiphany, but as a synthesis of knowledge, experience, and emotional intelligence. The implications of these discussions extend beyond mere decision-making. They resonate on a personal level, encouraging us to develop a relationship with our own intuitive senses. By recognizing the value of intuition, we can harness this powerful tool for self-discovery and personal development. As a final thought, reflecting on the insights gathered from these interviews, consider starting your day with a simple practice of tuning into your feelings and thoughts before making decisions. Taking a few moments to pause and listen to your inner voice can provide clarity and direction, making it an actionable tool for growth. This practice not only enhances decision-making, but also strengthens your connection to the intuitive aspects of yourself, paving the way for a more intuitive life. Embrace the journey and let your intuition guide you toward richer experiences. The role of intuition in cognitive behavioral therapy. Intuition rarely receives its due credit, especially in structured fields like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which prides itself on evidence-based practices. However, intuition is an undercurrent in the therapeutic process, often guiding both therapists and clients in profound ways. As I reflect on the countless sessions where intuition played a pivotal role, it's clear that our gut feelings can alert us to underlying issues or unacknowledged emotions. For instance, during a session with a client struggling with anxiety, I intuitively sensed that their fear was linked to an unresolved trauma, even before they explicitly shared it. This hunch became a stepping stone in our discussion, allowing the client to explore deeper layers of their experience. By honoring these intuitive nudges, therapists can navigate the complexities of emotion and provoke more insightful dialogues, fostering transformative breakthroughs. Identifying methods to tap into clients' intuitive insights can significantly enhance the therapeutic experience. Engaging in active listening, creating a safe environment, and employing reflective questioning are just a few strategies that allow intuition to flourish during sessions. I often ask clients open-ended questions that encourage them to reflect inwardly and speak openly about their feelings and thoughts. For example, when a client expresses frustration about a relationship, I might gently prompt, "What does your gut tell you about this situation?" This question not only acknowledges their intuition, but actively invites them to connect with it. By helping clients recognize their own intuitive responses, they learn to trust their inner wisdom, which can lead to remarkable self-discovery and growth. Ultimately, this fosters a sense of control and empowerment in their journey toward healing. Integrating intuition into CBT doesn't dismiss its structured nature. Rather, it enhances the therapeutic alliance, making sessions more dynamic and impactful. As therapists, it's crucial to remain attuned to our intuitive insights while balancing them with evidence based strategies. This dual focus allows us to meet our clients where they are, guiding them through their emotional landscapes with a blend of science and art. For anyone looking to improve their skills in leveraging intuition within therapy or even in daily interactions, I encourage maintaining a reflective journal. By regularly noting down observations, intuitions, and client progress, therapists can sharpen their instinctual abilities, leading to richer and more rewarding therapeutic relationships. Expert tips for developing intuitive skills. Developing intuitive skills often feels like tapping into an intricate web of thoughts, feelings, and instincts that reside within us. To begin this journey, experts recommend several practical exercises that can help you hone these skills. One effective method is journaling your thoughts and feelings daily. By taking the time to write down your impressions and experiences, you create a space for reflection. This not only helps in understanding your emotional landscape, but also trains your mind to recognize intuitive nudges. You might start by noting any spontaneous feelings or ideas that arise during your day and revisiting them later to see how they align with actual events. Another powerful exercise involves mindfulness meditation, which encourages you to focus on the present moment. This practice can clear mental clutter and enhance your sensitivity to insights that emerge from within. Additionally, engaging with nature can boost your intuition. Going for walks in natural settings allows for a quiet mind, opening you to subtle signals that may otherwise be drowned out by daily noise. Ongoing education is crucial to strengthening your intuition. This could mean reading books by thought leaders in psychology and spirituality, attending workshops on intuition development, or even finding mentors who can provide guidance on your journey. Each of these experiences offers valuable insights and fosters a deeper understanding of how intuition operates in your life. Embracing the idea of continuous practice is essential. The more you engage with your intuitive side, the more familiar it becomes. Establishing a routine that includes varied practices will keep your intuitive senses sharp and agile. Whether it's through art, creative writing, or problem solving in group dynamics, the goal is to invite your intuition to inform your choices. Lastly, cultivating a sense of curiosity and playfulness regarding intuition is beneficial. Instead of viewing it as a fixed trait, see it as a muscle that needs to be exercised. Allowing yourself the freedom to experiment with your intuitive skills can lead to unexpected insights and growth. Integrating these practical strategies into your life can create profound shifts in your understanding of intuition. Experiment with different exercises and pay attention to how they resonate with you. Remember that the journey of developing intuitive skills is unique to each individual. What works for one person may be different for another, so keep exploring until you find your rhythm. A practical tip to carry forward is to regularly take a few minutes each day to tune into your feelings. Ask yourself simple questions like, what do I feel drawn to today? Or what seems right in this moment, as these little inquiries can serve as gateways to a deeper connection with your intuition. Chapter 13. Intuition in Decision-Making Frameworks. Integrating intuition within analytical models. Incorporating intuition into traditional decision-making models offers a myriad of benefits that can transform how we approach problem solving. Over the years, I have come to realize that while analytical models provide a structured framework to evaluate options and forecast outcomes, they often lack the nuance that intuition can offer. There are moments in my professional journey where the hard data looked promising, yet my gut told me otherwise. In those instances, trusting my intuition calculatedly led me to the right decision. Intuition draws upon our subconscious brain, shaped by experiences, emotions, and knowledge that traditional data may not capture. Leveraging intuitive insights alongside rigorous analysis enhances creativity and can lead to more holistic conclusions that resonate with the complex realities we face. Creating a balanced framework that merges analytical thinking with intuitive flair is not only possible, but essential. Take, for example, a team scenario where a project requires both quantitative analysis and artistic vision. By fostering an environment that respects both analytical rigor and intuitive insight, we open ourselves to a richer pool of perspectives. This could involve setting aside time for brainstorming, where participants express feelings or gut reactions about various options before resorting to numerical evaluation. I remember a time when we were working on a marketing campaign. The data suggested one strategy, yet a colleague felt strongly about a different approach based on her past experiences with similar markets. By integrating those intuitive feelings into our discussions, we adapted our campaign and ultimately achieved greater engagement than the data predicted. This blending of heart and mind creates a more dynamic, adaptable decision-making process. One effective tip for integrating intuition with analytical models is to adopt a reflective pause during decision-making. After gathering all necessary data, spend a few moments in contemplation, allowing your mind to wander and consider alternate viewpoints or feelings that arise. This reflective practice can shed light on aspects you may not have consciously considered while analyzing metrics. I have found that combining this pause with the analysis often results in richer, more informed decisions. By intentionally weaving intuition into our analytical frameworks, we become more agile thinkers capable of tackling the complexities of modern-day challenges. Practical exercises for enhanced decision-making. Strengthening our intuitive judgment alongside analytical skills is crucial in today's fast-paced world, where decisions often need to be made swiftly yet effectively. One exercise I find immensely beneficial involves setting aside time for reflection at the end of each day. I take a moment to review the decisions made that day, big and small. This practice doesn't merely focus on the outcome, but examines the processes that led to those choices, what instincts guided me, and what data influenced my reasoning. Over time, this blend of intuition and analysis sharpens not only my decision-making abilities, but also builds a deeper understanding of how I think and act in various situations. Another exercise that I recommend is visualization. Before tackling a decision, I close my eyes and picture the journey ahead. How do I feel at each stage? What potential obstacles may arise? Imagining the process helps in identifying both emotional responses and practical challenges, ultimately leading to more informed choices. Trusting my gut feeling while also listening to the analytical side ensures a well-rounded approach. Real-life applications of these exercises can lead to significantly improved outcomes. When I started integrating these reflective practices into my routine, I noticed a marked difference in the clarity of my decisions. Take, for instance, a time when I faced a career crossroads. By reflecting each evening on my feelings and the advice I had gathered, I began to see patterns in what truly mattered to me: job satisfaction, work-life balance, and career growth. With these insights, I made a more informed choice that resonated with my core values. The act of visualizing each step of this decision-making process also prepared me for conversations with potential employers, where I could confidently articulate my needs and expectations. Real-world scenarios like this reinforce the significance of applying such exercises. The practical nature of these reflections and visualizations translates into tangible benefits, influencing both personal and professional realms. As we embrace these exercises, we gain tools to navigate our decision-making landscape with more confidence and clarity. A practical tip is to maintain a decision journal. Write down your intentions, reflections, and the outcomes of decisions you've made over time. This not only provides a historical account of your reasoning, but also serves as a guide for future choices. Reviewing this journal regularly can reveal growth patterns, recurring challenges, and shifting priorities. The more we engage with our thought processes and rigorously explore our instincts alongside analytical data, the better equipped we become to tackle life's myriad decisions with grace and efficacy. Real-world applications of intuitive frameworks. One particularly compelling case study comes from a mid-sized tech company that faced a critical crossroads. Their product development was lagging behind competitors, and morale was dwindling. The CEO decided to implement an intuitive framework focused on design thinking, a process that emphasizes empathy with users and iterative prototyping. By encouraging teams to truly understand their customers' needs, employees began to generate innovative ideas that led to product enhancements and features that resonated more deeply with users. The shift in perspective made a significant difference, turning the company into a market leader within a few years. It's remarkable how a simple shift from a product centric view to a user centric approach led to breakthroughs in creativity and productivity. Another noteworthy example involves a nonprofit organization that struggled to increase its outreach efforts. They adopted a collaborative framework, fostering open communication and idea sharing among staff and volunteers. By employing this intuitive approach, the organization was able to develop grassroots campaigns that leveraged local strengths and networks. The result was a significant increase in community engagement and donation levels. This case highlights a vital lesson. When people feel valued and heard, they contribute more actively and passionately. The initiative not only revitalized the organization, but also demonstrated how collaboration can yield impressive results through shared perspectives. Reflecting on these case studies reveals one crucial lesson: the importance of understanding the core needs of people. Whether applying an intuitive framework within a team or in personal relationships, being empathetic to the needs of others often leads to deeper connections and more effective outcomes. In my own life, when I took the time to understand my family members' challenges and aspirations, discussions became more meaningful, leading to solutions that strengthened our bonds. This type of intuitive understanding can transform any interaction, making it more purposeful and fulfilling. Another lesson from these experiences is the power of collaboration. When we gather diverse perspectives to tackle a problem, we often uncover solutions that we wouldn't reach on our own. This idea can be applied not only in professional settings, but also in personal projects, like planning a family event or a community service activity. By inviting input from others, you might find creative solutions you hadn't anticipated. Utilizing frameworks that nourish collaboration can lead to richer experiences and results, emphasizing how vital it is to seek input and embrace collective wisdom. Both case studies and personal reflections remind us that the best results often stem from applying intuitive frameworks that prioritize understanding, collaboration, and empathy. By embedding these principles into our daily lives, we can foster environments that encourage innovation, connection, and well-being. A practical tip to enhance this approach is to dedicate time for empathy exercises, whether through journaling, open discussions, or even guided activities that challenge us to step into others' shoes. This simple practice not only enriches our interactions, but also equips us to tackle challenges with a more comprehensive perspective. Chapter 14. Trusting your intuitive self. Overcoming doubt, building trust in your intuition. Trusting our intuition can feel like walking a tightrope. Often, we grapple with doubts and misconceptions that cloud our judgment. For instance, many of us have been taught to rely on logic and tangible evidence above all else, which can make the internal whispers of intuition seem unreliable or foolish. I remember a time when I faced a significant career choice, feeling something deeply inside me urging me in one direction, yet all the rational voices around me pointed elsewhere. It's easy to dismiss that inner nudging as wishful thinking, or even fear masquerading as instinct. Understanding that intuition is not just a whimsical feeling, but a culmination of experiences and knowledge helps us begin to unravel these doubts. It's crucial to recognize that everyone experiences this conflict between intuition and rational thought, and acknowledging it is the first step toward trusting ourselves more deeply. Building self-confidence in our intuitive insights requires intentional practice. One effective strategy is engaging in mindfulness exercises that encourage quiet reflection. By taking time each day to meditate or simply sit in silence, I found I could better hear and understand my inner voice. Journaling also plays a vital role. Writing down my feelings and instincts about certain situations helped me track the trends in my intuition over time. Creating a dialogue with myself, where I challenge my fears and doubting thoughts, establishes a stronger connection to my gut feelings. Additionally, seeking out small opportunities to act on my intuition, like choosing a restaurant based on a gut feeling or making a quick decision without overthinking it, gradually builds trust. As I celebrated these moments of intuitive success, I noticed a growing confidence in my ability to navigate larger decisions. These practices encourage a deeper understanding of oneself, fostering a resilient belief in one's instincts. A practical takeaway is to start carving out intentional moments for reflection in your daily life. Whether through meditation, journaling, or simply taking a walk in nature, allow your mind the space to wander and notice what arises. Ultimately, the more we listen and act on our intuitions, the more we refine our ability to discriminate between genuine instinct and passing doubt. Stories of triumph, trusting intuition in action. Many of us have experienced moments when our gut feelings seem to pull us in a certain direction, yet we often question those instincts. There's a powerful story I recall about a woman named Maya who faced a significant turning point in her life. She was working in a corporate job that left her feeling unfulfilled. One day, during a routine meeting, an idea sparked in her mind, urging her to take a leap into the world of entrepreneurship. Despite the fear of failure, she chose to follow that inner voice. Maya started a small business that reflected her passion for sustainable fashion. Today, she is a proud owner of a thriving brand that empowers other women and promotes ethical practices. Her journey illustrates how trusting one's intuition can lead to not only personal fulfillment, but also success that resonates with a larger community. These stories highlight a crucial lesson. Intuition serves as a guiding map of sorts, often leading us to paths we may not have considered otherwise. When we look closely at different triumphs, what stands out is the consistent theme of courage. Each individual, much like Maya, faced uncertainty and risk. They chose to listen to that often quiet inner voice instead of ignoring it. This invites us to reflect on our experiences. When have we felt strongly about a decision only to be swayed by external opinions? The stories encourage us to reclaim our instincts, as they often mirror our true desires and values. The triumphs we celebrate in life often come from moments where we chose to trust ourselves, leading to outcomes we never initially envisioned. Moving forward, understanding the art of listening to our instincts becomes essential. It invites us to create a practice where we tune into our feelings and thoughts. This means taking moments of stillness amid our busy lives, allowing space to analyze what we truly want. A practical tip to integrate this into daily life is to start a journal where you can reflect on your gut feelings. Write down instances where you felt a strong intuition and the consequences that followed. Over time, patterns will emerge, helping you recognize how intuition plays a role in your decision-making. This practice not only deepens your understanding of yourself, but also reinforces the notion that trusting your instincts is not just an occasional act, but a vital life skill. Affirmations and practices to foster trust. Every day, I've found that reaffirming my belief in my intuitive abilities can create a profound shift in how I view the world around me. The power of affirmations lies in their ability to reshape our perceptions and strengthen our mental connections to our inner guidance. Personally, I began using affirmations like "I trust my intuition" and "my gut feelings lead me to clarity" to shift from doubt to confidence. These simple phrases serve as gentle reminders that I possess an inner wisdom that knows the answers, even when the noise of external circumstances tries to drown it out. Over time, I noticed that as I repeated these affirmations, my mind started to embrace quiet moments, allowing my intuition to emerge without resistance. I found myself making decisions that felt right even without all the logical data, and every time I did, I strengthened the trust I had in myself. Mindfulness practices have introduced a beautiful layer to my journey of building trust in my intuition. I began setting aside time each day to sit in stillness, focusing on my breath. These moments of breathing brought clarity and peace, allowing me to access deeper insights. I remember one particular afternoon, sitting on my garden bench, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. I focused not just on my breathing, but on the sensations of the world around me. The rustling leaves, the distant sound of laughter, these simple experiences grounded me. In those moments, I felt a profound connection with everything around me and started recognizing that my intuition speaks softly, often drowned out by the chaos of daily life. Frequent practice of mindfulness helped me cultivate a trusting relationship with my intuition, making it easier to hear those soft whispers guiding me through challenging decisions. As I delved deeper into these practices, I discovered the importance of living in the present. Engaging with the here and now allowed my intuition to reveal itself in real time. I began to notice how my body reacts to particular decisions, tightening in some situations, loosening in others. Listening to these subtle cues became just as important as the affirmations I read. To enhance this practice, I recommend integrating journaling after your mindfulness sessions. Write down any intuitive feelings or insights you experience, no matter how vague they may initially seem. This record will not only reinforce your experiences, but also illustrate your growing trust over time. Each page becomes a testament to your evolving relationship with your intuition, offering you the feedback needed to lean in with confidence and clarity. Chapter 15, The Lifelong Journey of Intuition. Continuing the conversation, Future of Intuition. There is an undeniable current of interest swirling around the study of intuition, and it feels more vibrant than ever. Emerging trends in this field are revealing connections between intuition and various areas of life, such as neuroscience, psychology, and even artificial intelligence. For instance, researchers are now exploring the neural basis of intuitive decision-making and how gut feelings arise in the brain. This growing understanding allows us to differentiate between intuition and randomness, or between instinct and informed judgment. Such insights can hugely impact personal development. By recognizing how intuition functions, we can nurture our intuitive faculties and integrate them into our choices, leading to a more harmonious balance between rational thinking and instinctive knowing. Through personal development exercises like mindfulness and reflective journaling, we can strengthen our capacity to listen to our intuitive signals. Staying engaged with ongoing dialogues about the relevance of intuition is essential if we want to harness its potential. Numerous platforms, from academic journals to social media discussions, provide spaces for sharing experiences and insights related to intuition. I often find myself drawn into candid conversations with friends and colleagues about their intuitive nudges and how they have led to unexpected but fulfilling paths in their lives. These shared stories are a treasure trove of inspiration, affirming that intuition is not just an abstract concept, but a tangible force that can shape our realities. Encouraging readers to participate in these discussions can deepen their understanding and acceptance of their intuitive abilities. It is a collective journey, one where we learn from each other's insights and experiences. When we share our intuitive successes and moments of doubt, we cultivate a community that celebrates the nuances of human psychic abilities. As we explore the future, it is worth noting that the integration of intuition into our daily lives begins with small, actionable steps. Keeping a journal to document intuitive hits, engaging in regular mindfulness practices, and seeking feedback from trusted friends can create a supportive framework for developing our intuition. Additionally, remaining curious about where intuition is headed, as we connect with experts through podcasts, books, or workshops, can enrich our understanding and practice. The conversation around intuition is alive and ever-evolving, inviting us all to be part of the dialogue and exploration. Intuition as a lifespan skill, adapting over time. Intuition is not a static skill. It evolves as we journey through different stages of life. As a child, my intuition often felt like a whisper, guiding me toward toys or friendships, expressions of a simple yet profound understanding of what felt right or wrong. I remember a time in elementary school when I hesitated to join a game that everyone else seemed excited about. My gut instinct warned me that something was off about that particular group. It turned out my feelings were spot on, as they had a reputation for excluding others. This early experience shaped my trust in my intuition, a foundation that would grow over the years. Transitioning into adolescence, my intuitive sense transformed, grappling with more complex social dynamics and emotional depths. I began sensing the unspoken feelings of friends, and this sensitivity served as both a gift and a challenge. High school introduced me to varied experiences: heartbreak, friendship betrayals, the pressures of fitting in, all of which refined my gut instincts. Each phase brought its own complexities, shaping my ability to decode the world around me. The ability to adapt my intuitive practices became essential as adulthood approached. I learned that intuition is not just about what feels right in the moment, It also involves a willingness to reflect and adjust based on what I've learned. I recall starting my first job, where I relied heavily on the intuition honed during my years of social navigation. However, the workplace offered new challenges: politics, competition, and the necessity for collaboration. I began to understand that intuition also requires flexibility. Instead of relying solely on my initial feelings, I adopted a habit of seeking feedback from trusted colleagues, blending their insights with my gut responses. This adaptability to incorporate new experiences and perspectives transformed my intuitive practice into a dynamic tool, one that evolved with me. Embracing vulnerability in this way has opened doors to deeper connections and better decision making. Cultivating a habit of regular self reflection allows us to retune our intuition, ensuring it remains relevant and sharp as we continue navigating through life. Practical self care practices such as mindfulness and journaling can significantly enhance this reflective space, sharpening our awareness and guiding our instincts more effectively. Integrating these insights into daily life fosters a richer understanding of our instincts and enhances our decision making. The beauty of intuition lies in its ability to grow alongside us, adapting to our ever changing circumstances. By remaining open to learning and allowing our experiences to shape our instincts, we can cultivate a potent skill that serves us throughout our lives. Consider keeping a journal of your intuitive experiences, noting when your gut feelings guide you positively or steer you off course. This reframing not only allows for reflection, but can also deepen your connection to your own internal compass, enabling you to navigate future challenges with greater confidence. Advocacy: promoting intuition in society. Advocating for intuition in various aspects of society is crucial as it weaves a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. In an age where logic and data often overshadow our innate sense of knowing, I find myself reflecting on countless instances where intuition has played a pivotal role in decision making. Think of the last time you met someone and felt an instant connection or unease without a fully rational explanation. These moments where intuition nudges us are powerful indicators of our inner wisdom, guiding us through life's complexities. It's vital to recognize intuition not as an obscure or mystical phenomenon, but as a legitimate and practical tool that can enhance our interactions, choices, and overall well being. When we embrace this intuitive faculty, we begin to appreciate its influence on creativity in the arts, sensitivity in personal relationships, and even critical discernment in professional settings. As I ponder this, I see each of us as potential advocates of intuitive awareness and education, capable of fostering a culture that values our inner guides. Encouraging those around us to trust their intuition involves sharing our own stories of how following our gut has led us to unexpected opportunities or meaningful connections. It often takes just one person's story to spark curiosity in others. Consider initiating conversations about intuition in casual settings or engaging in workshops that provide tools and practices for developing this skill. Perhaps by journaling our intuitive experiences or meditating on moments when we felt that inner pull, we create a tapestry of awareness that can inspire others. Remember, by normalizing these conversations and practices, we can cultivate a community where intuition is not merely acknowledged, but celebrated. Take a moment to think about how you can personally integrate this advocacy into your day-to-day life. Perhaps you can start with small changes, like sharing insights during family dinners, or encouraging your friends to pause and reflect on their intuitive nudges. These actions can ripple through your social circles, creating a collective consciousness that reverberates the strength and validity of intuition. Practical exercises, such as holding space for others to share their intuitions, can enrich relationships and deepen understanding. As we speak about intuition with confidence and enthusiasm, we lay the groundwork for a society that genuinely listens to its internal compass. Each discussion, each story shared, contributes to a larger movement toward embracing the fullness of human experience. As we conclude The Silenced Self, understanding the consequences of ignoring intuition, remember that your intuition is not just a whisper in the background. It's a guiding force that, when acknowledged, can transform every area of your life. Trusting yourself is the first step to a life of alignment and purpose. Take these lessons forward, practice listening deeply, and allow your inner voice to lead the way to greater wisdom, peace, and fulfillment. Thank you for joining me on this transformative journey.